Congratulations! You have finished building your first Android application. That is a great achievement. And now you would like to share it with the whole world? Well, then you're in the right video, because I'm going to show you how you can publish your application on the Google Play Store. And in order to do that, you of course, first of all, need to generate a signed APK that you then can upload to the Google Play Store. But there are a bunch of little steps that you need to follow along the way in order to get to the point where your app is actually on the Google Play Store. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. And of course, you can always check out our blog where you can also follow along step by step. You can find the link in the description below. But for now, let's get started. Welcome to Android Friday on tutorialsEU. My name is Dennis Panuta, and in this video you are going to learn something about Android. But as you can see, we are teaching other topics around programming as well on a weekly basis. Now, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm as well as a sub for yourself, because you're going to profit from it. All right, now let's get back to the video. I hope you'll enjoy it. All right, so at this point you have finished your application and it's ready to be put on the Play Store. First of all, of course, congratulations, because this is really an achievement. But now the next thing that you need to do is, of course, to put it on the Play Store. In order to do that, you need to create a signed APK. So generate signed bundle /APK, and that is what we're going to do. So click on build and then generate signed bundle or APK, and then you can select Android app bundle or APK. APK is the standard way, the old-fashioned way. Android app bundle is something rather new, where you can have a smaller download size, on-demand app features, and asset-only modules, so you can learn more about that. But we are going to go the classical route, which always works. So we're just going to use APK here. Then we click next. So here you need to create a new key store path. So you can just click on create new and then select the key store path, so where you want to store it. And I'm going to store it in my Google Drive folder so that this file is not going to be lost, because you always need to make sure that you have this key store file somewhere where you can access it, because if it's gone, then you cannot update your application. And that is something that you definitely should take into consideration, because if it's gone, well, what will you do? You cannot update your app and it will be on the Play Store, never being able to be updated. So that's something that you really need to make sure that you store this file safely and that it is not going to be lost. I'm going to store it in my Google Drive folder. I'm going to create a new folder here, which I'm going to call Android Key Store. Okay. And then the file name will be my Android Key Store. Okay. Now you need to give it a password, and I'm going to enter a password here for both sides. And once you're done with that, you can add an alias for your key, so a name, so to speak, for your key. And I'm going to call this one quiz_app. And this one needs another password. So these are two different passwords. Why is that? Well, one of them is the store, so you need a key to get into the store, which is the password. And then you need to have a key for the individual boxes in that store. So each box has its own key, and each box is this alias, so has an own alias. In our case, quiz app is going to be the key that I have. So let's say you have multiple applications. What you would do is you would give each of them an individual key, but you would store them in the same key store. Okay, so all of those would be in your key store, all of your different apps that you have created, all of your different keys that you have created. And well, you will need different passwords here. So if you want to have one key store where multiple people, for example, have access to, but you have different apps in there where an individual can only access a specific app, then, well, that's the different passwords that you are going to require. Okay, then you need to enter your data here. So in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. All right. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to click OK. And here I can have the key store password as well as the key alias. So I'm going to use the same key alias that I had before, which was quiz_app, and the key password. And then I also just remember my passwords. Okay, so that on this device, I will not have to re-enter them because I'm the only one using this PC and this PC is secured as well. But let's say your PC is not secured and other people could have access to it, then you would need to make sure that you don't remember the passwords, because someone else could just go ahead and hack your account and then just use their application as their own or whatever. People are very creative when it comes to taking property from other people. So just go ahead and then click next. And here you can select between debug and release. And I'm just gonna select release here. You also need to select a destination folder for your signed bundle APK. So here you can see in my case, it will be stored in the app folder itself inside of my application folder. In this case, it was version 7, but it's the quiz app version 7 because I just broke it down for the tutorial. Either way, you can just go ahead and press release here. Of course, if you just want to use this for debugging and you don't want to release the APK, you can select debug here as well. But I'm going to release it. And signature versions are usually unchecked. So I'm going to check both of them because I want to publish this application for different version or different device types and so forth. You can learn more about signatures by pressing signature help here. But either way, once we're done, we can press finish and this will then generate the application for us. So this APK file, this signed APK file. And now if you check out the folder, so you show in Explorer, you will find that it generated the app folder, and in there is this release in which you can then find your app release APK. You can now go ahead and change the name. For example, in my case, it's quiz app, and now it will be quiz app APK. And by the way, if you like this video, then you will definitely love my complete Android and Kotlin masterclass. You can find the link in the description and you'll get a huge discount. And in this course, you're going to learn everything that you need to know about Android app development. It's a 45-hour long course, and I can tell you there's a lot of love in it and a lot of good content. And at the end, there is a huge project, really from start to finish, because that's what everyone was asking for. So I decided to create this project, and it's like a 15-hour mammoth. But in this one, you're going to learn really everything from start to finish of creating an application such as Trello. So using Firebase, using recycler views, as you will learn in this video, and of course a lot more. APIs, Google Maps, cameras, well, everything that you can think of when it comes to Android app development. So if you want to become a real app developer, definitely check out that course. And then you just go to play.google.com. Then you have to review the terms of service. If you don't have an account yet, it will probably be different either way. So you then need to select the email address of your account that you are using for this, and then review the terms of service. Once you're here, you can go ahead and click create application, and then you need to give it a title. So I'm just going to call it quiz app tutorials.eu. You can change the default language if required, and then click on create. At this point, you need to give it a short description. In my case, it's a quiz app built for teaching purposes. And then you can also give a full description. So this one would be a little longer, in which you then try to rank. So this is going to be important for people to find your application. And this is based on your description as well as on your title and on your short description. So if you want to be successful with that, you definitely need to check out what those best practices are when it comes to ranking your application. And for now, you can just go ahead and describe specifically what your application does. In my case, it's just a quiz app for testing and for teaching purposes, but you know best what your app is about. So really write a long description that will be helpful to people who, well, want to download your application or see your application and then want to know more about it before downloading it. So I'm just going to add my link here. And as you see here, you have 4,000 characters, so you can write quite a long description. And in case your application should be available in multiple languages, you can manage your translations here. So you can either purchase translations or you can add your own translation texts for different languages. So let's say your application should be used internationally in different languages, then that would definitely be an option. At this point, you can save the draft, and then you need to add a high-res icon, so a high-resolution icon with a resolution of 512 times 512. In my case, I'm just dragging in my logo. As you can see, it's not perfect because I didn't use a perfect image, but here you would need to create a beautiful icon. As you can see here, this is how it's going to be in a rounded version, and usually apps are rounded icons. At least that's the current standard. That could change over time, of course. Then you need a bunch of screenshots of your application. It says at least 2 and a maximum of 8 per type, which means per phone, tablet, Android TV, Wear OS, and automotive. You can also see that you need to have a feature graphic. You can have a promo graphic and you can have a TV banner, but those are not required, but the feature graphic is required. And then you can even add a Daydream 360-degree stereoscopic image, as well as a promo video. So then what you would do is you would just go ahead and create screenshots of your application, make the emulator as big as possible, or take the screenshots directly on your device. In my case, I'm just gonna use my GreenShot application in order to create those screenshots. So here, I'm just gonna go ahead and select a screenshot of my app and save that. And then I'm going to do the same thing once again for another part of the application. So in this case, I'm going to start the app, and you can see this is another part of the application where it makes sense to create a little screenshot as well, so that people have an understanding of what your application is about. And in my case, I'm just using a generic image here for the feature graphic, but you should definitely make sure that you have a good feature graphic that really represents your application and sells it. Because basically what you do with those screenshots is sell your application, because people see the screenshots and then they say, okay, yeah, I'm going to download this app. It's going to help me. It's going to do what I need it for, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, they won't install it. And of course, you want to make sure that as many people as possible install your application because you want it to be successful. At least that's what I would expect. All right, then you can scroll further down and you can select the application type. So is it a game or is it an application? And then the category. And in my case, it's education. So I'm just going to use education, even though otherwise it would be a game, because quiz, well, you could consider it as a game and it's not an application. But here you can really decide and categorize your application. You can even add some tags to describe the content and functionality of your app. So you can also see tags may affect where your app is displayed in the Google Play Store and peer groups that are compared against. So if you want your application to be successful, then you would definitely need to use the right tags here. And therefore you need to do some research. Where can your app be positioned correctly in order to become successful again? Okay, so that's something that you definitely need to check out and learn more about. Then the next step would be to give it a content rating, but in order to do that, we need to upload the APK first. So here you can see you can add a website and an email address for contact details. So let's say in my case, it would be tutorialsEU. So I'm just going to add that here, as well as my email address. And then you can press Save Draft. Okay, now you need to go to app releases, because you can see there is a little tick box here, as well as content rating, as well as app content and pricing and distribution. So everywhere where you have this little icon here and it's not green, you still need to do some steps. But as you can see, there are a bunch more options that there are, but we're just going to do the ones that are required and necessary. So here, app releases, that's where we need to go. Then you need to select the production track. So add Android app bundles or APKs to production to make your app available to all users on the Google Play Store. So I'm just going to click manage here and create a new release, because that's basically my application. So you can see you can prepare, review, and then publish the version of your app that you want to make available to your users of the Play Store. Then you can select whether Google should manage your app signing key, which is recommended, or you can opt out of it. I'm just going to click continue, and therefore you need to read through the license agreement and accept it. Once you have accepted it, you can then add your APK. As you might recall, it's in the release folder. So this quiz APK that I generated earlier on, I'm just going to drag that in there. And once your APK is here, you can see it here, version code is 1, and the download size, you can see it here as well, The release name will be the version name of your release. You can check that always in your project itself, in your build Gradle module app file. So in this file here, you can find your default config saying the version code being 1 and the version name being 1.0. So this is the representation of what you just saw. So it's basically this version code here and the version name, which is 1.0. Then the next one would be maybe 1.1 or 2.0 or 1.0.1. Well, you're totally free to use your own versioning concepts here. And then you can also write a new update. So here, if there are any updates with this new release, you can add that here. As we don't have anything updated yet, and this is the initial release, I'm just going to say initial release. And then I can save it. Now that we have uploaded the application, you can see we have a green tick box here. We can go to content rating and we can then rate our application's content. So click continue. Then you need to enter a valid email address and confirm that email address. And then you need to select your app category. And I'm just going to use educational. As this case, I have to say if my app has any violent content. I'm just going to say no, there's no sexuality in there, no potentially offensive language, no controlled substance, as well as, well, none of the other stuff. Of course, you have to select options that fit to your application and what the application does. So I'm going to save the questionnaire, and once that is done, I can calculate the rating. And you can see that's the rating for my application for the different regions of the world. And then I can apply the rating. Now, of course, you need to make sure that everything that you entered there is correct. Otherwise, you might run into problems. Then you need to go to app content and you need to add a privacy policy. So add a URL to your privacy policy. So in this case, enter a URL being example.com/privacy. If you want to learn more about that, you can always click this icon or the user data policy here for more details. I'm just going to use the one from my website here for demonstration purpose. And then press save. Then you need to go back to app content and then say if you will have any ads in there. In my case, I say I don't have any ads. If you have ads, of course, you will need to select yes. Then you go back to app content, app access, and you need to say if there's any restrictions in there. In my case, there are no restrictions. I'm just gonna save that and go back to app content. And then target audience, let's start that as well. Is my target audience any of those? And I'm just gonna say it's for grown-ups. I'm just gonna click next. Does it appeal to children? In case you have anything offending or that would not fit for children, you would say yes here. In my case, I'm just gonna say no. Okay, I'm going to save that. You see there's a double check here and then go back to app content. Once all of those tick boxes are green, you can go to pricing and distribution. And then also this tick box here will turn green, or this icon will turn green. And here you can select the countries in which your app should be made available. You can also select all of them. So just click on available and all of them will be selected. So your application will be available in all of the countries that you can see here. This is something where you have to be more careful if your application is violating rules in a specific country. So let's say you violate the rules of Venezuela with your application, but you don't violate any of the other countries' rules, then you could just say, okay, it's unavailable in Venezuela, because otherwise you're gonna run into troubles with Venezuela or something like that. Then you can, of course, individually uncheck specific countries. Okay, then you can also select where the app should be made available. You can turn on advanced manage Google Play features. You can opt out of the marketing and so forth. These are options that are free to you, but the ones that aren't free is that you follow the content guidelines and therefore you need to read through the content guidelines to really make sure that everything is fine. And you also need to accept the US export laws, otherwise you cannot publish your application. Okay, you can also learn more about that here. And once that is done, you can save your draft and your application is ready to publish. You can see this new icon appears here, which says ready to publish. And this little pop-up comes up. Your app is ready to be published. You can now publish your app by starting the rollout of a release in the Manage Releases page. And I'm just going to go to this page here. And you can scroll all the way up. Once you are on app releases, you scroll all the way up and you go to edit release. Then you scroll all the way down, you click on review, and then you click on start rollout to production. And once you do that, the application will be made available on the Play Store soon, as soon as it's reviewed, and then Google employee will double check your application and will then either accept it or won't accept it. Once you go to the dashboard, you will see that your application is pending publication, which means that your app is published and under review with Google. And once Google finishes the review process, the status will be changed to published and available. All right, that's it. Now you have seen how to publish your application, and you can now go ahead and publish your own applications. And please feel free to share your applications that you have published using the step-by-step guide so that we and other tutorialsEU students can check it out and give you a review. All right, at this point, you have published your application. Congratulations. Now the whole world can download your application, or at least within a couple of days, as soon as Google has reviewed your app. And I wish you all the best on your journey as an app developer and on your journey to making money with this, hopefully, and getting jobs and gigs and all the good stuff. All right, thanks a lot for watching my video, and thanks a lot for being part of the tutorialsEU community. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you liked it and hit that subscribe button, and if possible, even that notification bell so that you don't miss out on the next good content that comes to this channel. All right, so I hope to see you in one of those 2 videos that you can see up here, and have a nice day.